All right, Shalom. First and foremost, all praise and glories unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Harachakwadash, that belong to our apostles, the bishops, the elders of the great millstone, and greetings, salutations, much love and blessings unto you. Hopefully, like Shalom unto you. You brush your quad with from the Las Vegas church with a quick video. I'm gonna try to keep it quick and simple now. Spirit move, it move, but intended to be to the point. And basically, we all, maybe not all, but a lot of the Southern Kingdom and those that grew up in American black culture, have heard of this American singer, songwriter, performer, artist, right? D'Angelo. And, you know, you gotta respect, um, being from a worldly perspective, you gotta enjoy and respect the art that he created, in the time he created it, Um, as time went on, uh, I hadn't listened too deeply into his music. It would come on, and you'd be like, "Oh, that was a good one." You enjoy his music, and what you did hear about his music, it was good, great music. Jake got a lot of box to his music, and in my opinion, he was my generation's Luther Vandross, or between. To me, he was right up there, and I actually liked the level of his music a little deeper, a little more soul to it than even R. Kelly. Okay, but that's personal opinion, and that's and that's my take on it. But at the end of the day, this video is not going to be about glorifying him or whatever, or even tearing him down or any of that. But it's just a reflection and a look as an example of what happens to our people when we live the Babylonian or American lifestyle. Okay, Babylon goes back to the Hebrew word babal, which means confusion. Okay, and so when you understand you've lived you didn't have a concise and direct way to live. You did whatever felt good. You live in Epicurus, whatever was good or felt good to the flesh. Epicurean lifestyle. And when you live that type of lifestyle, now I don't know his direct lifestyle, but you hear Jet Magazine and BET News or whatever else, you may have heard of him. And he had some health complications and problems and drug habits and whatever else, you know. And it just goes to show you, I'm gonna look this phrase up, see if they'll let me get it. You can't live life burning the candle at both ends. Let me see if I can get that phrase, because that's what kind of came to mind. Okay, burn the candle at both ends. It says go to bed late and get up early, especially to get work done. It's an idiom. Yeah. Said where to go? Definition: burn candle. If you burn the candle at both ends, you try to do too many things in too short a period of time, so that you have to stay up very late at night and get up very early in the morning to get them done. Okay. There's I don't know where it's at. Let's see. But sleep is important to get enough rest, and we're learning that getting adequate sleep, or better quality sleep in short amount of time. They say the standard is 8 hours rest, but not everybody needs that. But if you can get some quality sleep, get to that REM sleep, it's a lot better. But what I've heard it used at living life fast, and basically when it was explained to me in the world, so I guess this is not new on me. I mean, I did know this definition as well. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. But basically, to get to it, doing things not just one way. So you burn it at the wick end, but then you burn it at the base as well, meaning what's going to happen? Your life is going to be cut short because you haven't lived in any one direction. You haven't lived any one philosophy, any one belief, And so what it does, a lot of people that by that definition that I was told years ago, or beginning to understand years ago. It was like, damn, Jake is living, like, not living for the future. They just want more light for the moment, using the analogy of a candle. They want more light in the room, so they'll burn it to have two flames versus just burning one and it lasting longer. So it's burning the candle and the wick away faster, is basically what I'm saying. And a lot of Jake lived that way. Lived a fast life, man. It's good while it lasted. Enjoy it while I'm young. And then they get older and don't realize how they have to live when they're younger. They eat whatever they want. They do whatever they want. They're wild. They're crazy. They live. And one thing about people that live that way, one good quality about it, is they do most give an attempt to actually live. And what I say by that is enjoying the things. But we know in the scriptures, so I'm not going to get into it and extend this video even longer, but I'll go there real quick. So you read about it, you gotta read a little more, but yeah, it's the spirit. So Wisdom of Solomon 1. Okay, and I'll get to the point, which is a nice chunk of the point. Verse 5, and then I'll read down to about verse 9. It says, For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning. For it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore let us enjoy the good things that are present. And that's what I meant by burning at both ends. Jake wants to live so much and so fast. They don't think about the long term, And then you get into where this video is actually going. I'm gonna hop onto the dietary briefly to show you that you got to really consider how you eat. You can't just eat an unbalanced diet your whole life. If you just constant carbs, constant fat, bad fats, and processed foods, your life's gonna get cut short. Okay, that wasn't the intention of the Heavenly Father, though. It was, food was a small part of the heavenly, of the Heavenly Father's plan for us. It was something that we would enjoy, but not like for people. Like, even now, living here in Vegas, you see people come to Vegas just to eat. I just want to go to the buffet just to pig out. Okay, is it okay to eat well? And yeah, and something that I saw years ago, back when my family would do it. We were talking to this couple that was next to us, and they came in, got one plate, pretty much finished the plate, and they left and was gone. They was gone, and they ate for like 20 minutes and left. And we sat there like an hour, and I was like, oh shit, like, what is this? I mean, they, had, filled the plate, a solid plate, not stacked, but they had a solid plate. They had a little bit of dessert, they shared, and then they left. And I was like, damn, they do it right, but they got the point of it. They went there, they got a bunch of different tastes of food that they wanted to have. They enjoyed it. They had their dessert, and they went on back to whatever they were doing in life. And they were a very active young Jake couple. And they're all like, damn, that's crazy. They wasted all that. But no, it's not like that. They filled their body, they refueled, and they moved on. While we're sitting up there, my family's sitting up there with itis, and, I'm going to go back to the room and lay down, and, and living that type of lifestyle is not good. Okay, but this is the mentality on people that have that type of thing. So coming into the truth, you learn that, hey, food is fuel, and you can enjoy that fuel, but you also have to change your palate to understand what to enjoy. Pouring ranch all over your salad don't make it a good meal. Don't make it, it isn't where the taste is at. You might as well just eat the ranch. But the ranch ain't even, the ranch is the bad part. But, some people will toss a salad with oil and vinegar, a little lemon squeeze, a little salt and pepper or whatever, Himalayan pink salt, fresh cracked pepper, or throw a little basil or something in there, or whatever, and that be it. And now you can taste the arugula and the different leafy greens, kale and spinach or whatever else is in there, spring mix or whatever, and now you can actually taste it. Okay, putting cheese and all that on there. You don't need all that in the salad. Put that on use that up for a different meal. Okay? Apples and all that's cool, but just eat the apple. Like enjoy that. And we don't need such a large amount of food, okay? And this is somebody that, believe me, like I said, that was my family sitting up there. I was younger. It was my family sitting up there enjoying a buffet for over an hour. Like me and my cousin were really trying to get as much in us as we could. Like we ain't gonna be here long. It's good. Let's just keep eating, eat. And we ate till we couldn't eat no more. We were told to do it. Eat till you can't eat because you ain't eating again later. But so we just ate until till we felt like we was about to bust. And that was just a wrong way to live. Okay. So anyway, back in the scripture it says, For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass us by. Live in the moment. Don't let nothing of good pass you by. Hey, sometimes you walk by the bakery and you just be like, nope, that ain't for me, not today. Or I know I need to cut this out of my diet. I need to cut this out of my life for a while. Get myself back in balance, and then maybe, I may come over and have one, but I don't need the whole pack. I don't need a dozen donuts, or whatever. I might grab one time, but keeping myself in understanding, and then, okay, I know I gotta, because I'm about to do a bunch of walking and, and so on and so forth. But everything in proper measure. Okay. Anyway, it says, let us crown ourselves with rosebuds, therefore, before they be withered. Let's hurry up and get it before it's gone, right? Let none of us, and see, a lot of Jake, and I'm going to tie this back to D'Angelo, but a lot of Jakes, I don't know D'Angelo's deal in Hollywood and in the music industry, but a lot of Jakes that talk about all the poverty they grew up in, they sell their soul to be able to have as much food as they want, to be able to have as much drugs as they want, to have as much women as they want, and it becomes about quantity more than quality. And some of them do want quality, and they get up to that upper echelon. They go, oh, let me take care of myself that I'm here. I seen a video not long ago, say what you want about the guy, but Lenny Kravitz, okay? And we bring up this guy from time to time about his father line and all of that. But at the end of the day, as an example, he was like, he was living on an island, eating the fresh fruits, and I only eat fruits and berries in the morning, and then I may have a light salad in the afternoon, and then that's it, and a bunch of nuts, and then that's all I eat all day, and then, I might, every month, or he might even be vegan, I don't remember, but he was just saying how he had a villa or whatever on an island, and he does yoga and all this other shit, but he had a healthy lifestyle. And you look at him, and he looked like he was still in this, like just as young as his daughter. But if he were to dye his grays or whatever, and he looks just as young as his daughter. Okay, Zoe Kravitz. Okay, so anyway, saying all of that to say this is a life that we have to live, and Jake wants to hurry up and enjoy it so fast that they don't understand that this should be a lengthy experience in this flesh. Okay? Now, we're always searching and looking for comfort because of these curses. I want to, forget about that part of it. But at the same time, that's why we seek to get out of here. Because when we get to the kingdom of heaven and we get the new bodies, we're going to understand everything in its proper measure of not wanting to overeat, not wanting to use up too much and overdo things. We're going to understand the proper measure. We're truly going to appreciate things as we should. So back to verse 9, it said, let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness, the fat of life, basically, right? Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, popping every woman, flirting with everything that walk past, having every conversation that, whether, just talking a lot and just, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Let me shake your hand. Doing all these different things just to be in the moment and just don't want to pass nothing by. That's not always good at all times. Sometimes it's good, but not at all times. For this is our portion and our lot is this. Okay? And that's the point. Now let me go back to the guy. So he just recently passed away. And if you do the math, I think he was 51. Yeah, right there. Acclaimed reclusive R&B innovator dies at 51. And we start to see this number come around and be a big number. Like there's two numbers for Jake, man, when it comes to mortality. And young black males in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, the number was 18. A lot of Jake wasn't making it to 18. And if you did make it past 18, that next big number you had to be concerned about was 50. Bernie Mac, 50. Michael Jackson, I think early 50s. Prince was in his 50s, I believe. And I'm saying this because they had a little abundance where they can do some things. Now, you can say what you want about how they died and who and all of this other stuff or whatever. But at the end of the day, you look at their lifestyle, and some of them had healthy lifestyles, but you look at that number, 50, and it's, then you look at family and people in your neighborhood, and at 50 is when the health complications really come around. When you can see Jake hasn't completely taken care of themselves for the long haul. Okay? And it's important that you do. All right? And so that's pretty much what this video is going to get into. So let me, not to harp on this guy, but it's important that we take care of ourselves. Yeah, like I said, man, this guy, man, if you look at his images, let's go to his images right quick. The dude, like brother say, sex symbol, shirt off, young in his career. I think he came back and did another album and was still just as, a symbol like that. And I'll probably put this as the icon video, the video, whatever. But yeah, this is what it's saying. This is pretty much, he's draped in American culture, which allow you to do whatever you want. But as far as black culture, he shaped it from a musical standpoint, even a music video standpoint. Because when he came out with this one, that How Does It Feel, he had everybody buzzing and talking about it. And you can see the shape that Jake was in on the outside, but on the inside is where the health should be at. But from I'm not going to get it, but when how should I talk about first clean the inside of the cup, that the outside may be clean also. That's how you do it. You got to clean your spirit first, and then you'll know what to put in your body, and then you'll stay away and refrain from certain things, and then the outside of your body will begin to reflect the disciplined lifestyle that you have on the inside. Okay? So let me hit a few scriptures and close out. Don't want to make this too long, but just want to make sure that I'm hitting some certain points. But yeah, man, good music. Like, that's one thing, man. People talk a lot of shit about R. Kelly. The music's good. I mean, for what it is, Can't wait to see what happens in the kingdom of heaven and hear that. So let's hit a few precepts. Actually, I almost forgot. I want to tie this into it. And if you're a little squeamish, you've probably eaten worse if you've eaten pork. But watch what this Jake is doing. I believe he's a Jake. I don't know. Just looking at sight. You know? See him eating that meat right there. And I believe that's like a rabbit or something.
That tastes like high meat, but it's great.
Roadkill. Raw roadkill. Rabbit. Not bad at all. Bro, it's raw. You ain't even supposed to eat it raw. Now, real quick, another quick testimony story, whatever. My people is from, the deep South Louisiana, certain parts of Texas and all of that, and the bayou all the way down. And roadkill was a real food, man. Like they drive around the road and they look for stuff that's already dead, stuff that, oh, I can get that. I can, if I knock that turtle upside his head, I can keep that turtle, and we'll throw it in, like turtle that just came out the swamp or the mud or whatever, and they'll shoot a rabbit or whatever, and they will eat that mug, man. I've been in my grandfather's freezer and seen little naked rabbits, man, in there, where they've been skinned and all of this. Man, crazy. And I was pissed a couple times because I just started getting wary of some of my uncles and what they would cook, because I don't know what that meat looks like. That gravy smells fire though, and you always make the best rice, but I can't trust whatever that meat is. And I've done that, in my teenage life, before I was in the truth knowing, and I would eat the food with just the gravy and the rice, even though that meat was in there, and that gravy and that rice will be fire. But that meat, I don't know what that meat is. I never seen meat that color, that shaped like that, in them type of chunks or whatever. And Jake would just do wild stuff. So this is nothing that's not commonplace. I was young and we ate rabbit. And I was like, what the fuck? When I heard the truth, I was like, oh, I wasn't supposed to eat that. So, these types of things end up to Jake being sick. And I don't have that video, but I thought of it, where the lady was trying rat and she tried it. She instantly got sick, like sick. Like, what are you doing? Like, but we can't forget, just to throw some levity to this, are people that don't have this wisdom, that are without, they're going to bug the hell out when this government shuts all this shit down. And they got to get the implant to eat. Okay? And those that try to deny it, and some of you are going to bug out. You're going to be forced. And you think they're just going to be like, come get this and then you can eat. Or don't. And that's just how it's going to be. No, they're going to probably make everybody hungry first. Get everybody on the edge of hunger and discomfort, at their belly, after you've been on all these chemicals and addicted. Then they can come and be like, come get this if you want to get your fix. And then that mealworm with protein and that cockroach milk or whatever they making, that GMO gonna taste like magic. Like the answer. Okay? So I'm not gonna go no further in this. If you ain't been around and seen it, take a look. But if you will care to see more. But Jake is tearing that thing up, right? But let's hit these precepts. Okay? I'm gonna hit a couple key ones, but then that means you got to study animals. And that's what Solomon was talking about in Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter. You got to know the diversity of roots. You got to know animals and wild beasts and the seasons. And you got to know all this stuff. When the fruit will be ripe, what fruits are ripe, and diversities. You got to know all these things. What's in season and when this blooms and when you can eat it and when you can't eat it. And it's not ripe yet. And how long it takes. You get into all these different things. And this is all the wisdom that Solomon had, but this is also the wisdom that we should be trying to figure out, because this stuff is going to come in handy one day. Okay, before this thing is all said and done. Now, Leviticus 11:3 says, whatsoever parteth the hoof and is cloven-footed and cheweth the cud among the beasts, ye shall eat. That shall ye eat. That shall ye eat, right? So you can eat whatever part of the hoof that has a split hoof, that is cloven-footed, got the little toe up on the ankle type area, and cheweth the cud. What's the cud? You got to look into these things. The cud is a herbivore. Okay? Among the beasts of the earth, you can eat those. Okay? Then it goes into other things that you can't eat. And it even goes, I'm looking for it, because Jake was in direct violation. You can't eat the dead carcass. It goes into the waters at verse 9. It says, these ye shall eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters shall ye eat, and in the rivers them shall ye eat. And when you think and consider what that is, you can understand that it's them scales is almost like a filtering system. Okay? They, that filtering system go through them that's like what that is. You remove the scales, okay, then you get that flesh that's up under there of the fish. That's why we don't eat shellfish. That's why we don't eat catfish. No scales. Okay, no fins. But the thing is, man, come on, stop being simple. Those are bottom feeders. Stop trying to justify eating crab legs and all of that other shit, man. Okay. And see, when you get higher up and you get of some upper echelon, if you will, of this terrible ass society, they sell to you monkey's brains, and they sell to you, you got to have this swordfish and this escargot snail, and this lobster tail and all of this other stuff. You've seen the Red Lobster commercials. It's crab legs, it's snow crab season, and they'll dunk it all in the butter, and it'll splash all in slow motion, and that playing on your senses, making you want to desire those things, and making you feel inadequate if you don't have the voluptuousness of that. Okay, that was that Epicurus lifestyle. Now, going on, when you see all of this dietary law is meant for a purpose, man. Let me go to the one in Deuteronomy when he brought it back and had to refresh the people on the law. Yeah, verse 7, it says, nevertheless, these shall ye not eat. It might have been the other one, I just missed it, but of them that cheweth the cud, or of them that divided the cloven hoof, as the camel, and the hare is a rabbit, and the coney, I think, is another version of rabbit. For they cheweth the cud but divide not the hoof, therefore they are unclean to you. And Jake was also eating it raw. I'll read verse 8 because it's always good to read this. And the swine, which is pork, because it divided the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean to you. You shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. Okay? And it goes into all types of other animals. Okay, this dietary law was set up for us to have a balance in what we put into our bodies. Okay, it's important that we keep it in, just wanting to desire to eat all day. Jake going from food to food to food. That's not how your body's supposed to work. It's supposed to have a time to digest, and a time to start putting that digested food into turning into energy. When you learn what that process happens, if you're constantly putting in there, it's like, damn, I gotta store some of this because I can't process it all. I'm too busy storing it that I can't use the energy. I can't leave it in your belly because you want to move around. You wonder why you get sleepy. Sit your ass down so I can digest this for a few minutes. Drink this, or damn, it's too much. Your body's telling you. And Jake wonder why they have these headaches and these thyroid issues and just all these other issues, digestive issues and so on and so forth, because Jake doesn't have a diet and measure. All right, so let me go to, the Daniel diet. And I'm not going to read it all. I'm just going to hit a couple points. Let's go to, let's see, start up around verse 10. Daniel 1 and 10, it says, and the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who have appointed me your meat and your drink, or make sure they ate. For why should he see your faces worse likening than the children which are of your sort? Right? Then shall ye make me endangered my head to the king. I'm going to get in trouble if he see that y'all ain't well nourished, because y'all in position. Now jumping down to verse 12, I'll read 11. Then said Daniel to Melzar, who the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. He's asking for a more bitter diet, and he doesn't want so much wine. Yeah, it's good to drink wine and it's good to have meat, but he don't want all of that. Right now, it says, give us 10 days without it. And this is basically Does that mean that Daniel never ate meat? Daniel was a vegetarian. I heard somebody try to argue that point. You should be a vegetarian. Daniel was a vegetarian. Like, bro, calm down. Calm down. Trying to push a certain narrative and point. Like I'm eating meat when the Passover come around. I'm eating lamb when the Passover come, or goat, when the Passover come around. Regardless of what the lifestyle you want me to live. Anyway, it says, then let our countenance be looked upon before thee, in the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and as thou seest, deal with thy servants. Now let me go show you what pulse is. Now I just, Googled it. The AI overview says in the Bible, pulse refers to a simple plant-based diet of seeds, grains, and legumes such as beans and lentils, often eaten to observe religious principles like self-control and faith. And the most famous reference is in the book of Daniel, where Daniel and his friends chose a diet of pulse and water over the king's rich food, leading to them appearing healthier and wiser. Okay. And and it even says, let's see here, definition. The term generally refers to edible seeds, including grains, peas, beans, and lentils. In some contexts, it can be translated more broadly as vegetables or herbs grown from seeds. Okay? So that's and I'm gonna just leave it with that without going too deep. But if you go to the Blue Letter, I believe you get down, it does go into vegetables and herbs. Okay? So just having that balance in your diet, Now let's go to 1 John chapter 5, verse 1. For this is the love of the Most High, that we keep his commandments. And these are a dietary law, is a commandment, or the commandments and laws that we should live by. But it should be to where we're wise enough to understand that this is a balanced thing that we should have. And his commandments are not grievous. Okay, keeping these commandments are grievous. It's not grievous to not commit adultery. It's not grievous to not worship other gods. It's not grievous to have a well-balanced diet and to not eat abominable foods. Okay? It's not grievous. It's actually meant to do you good. All right? One more, then I'm going to close. I don't want to make it, like I said, it's already longer than I had anticipated, but Jeremiah 29 and 11, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord Yahweh, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. And I almost forgot this other precept. The Spirit hit me now to go to it. But there's an expected end. I have thoughts of peace and not of evil. Now, this goes deeper, but you have to know that even in your diet, even when he created the law, through Yahweh Shai, this was always set up for us to live a peaceful life. When you get into what the blessings were, you see what the expected end was for us. Okay, that's why the law won't be done away with, as some Christians would want to say, but we'll be able to meet the measure of the law. Okay, that we'll be under the blessings and not under the curses, because we're unable to do it. So us rehearsing the righteous acts now is leading us toward that expected end. All right, and this was the one I was thinking. Proverbs 23:3, be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meats. And this is going deeper. I started verse 1. When thou sittest to eat with the ruler, consider diligently what is before thee, and put a knife to thy throat, if thou be a man given to appetite. Know how to cut it off. Don't be in there slobbering. The elders in Dallas say, ranch all on your knuckles, digging all in the chicken, not being aware that other brothers are hungry and need to eat as well, just worried about yourself. Okay, so be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meats. Okay, so don't be too over the top, because you see stuff that you haven't had. And now that you've had it, now you in there acting a fool, making a fool of yourself, being a niggard, and just being, not being kingly, not being regal, okay, not having a sense of yourself, and self-control and discipline. Oh man, this is amazing. Slobbering and all of that at the table. Come on, bro. Let me get some more. Now, it's cool if you're at the house getting down, but there's a time and a place for that. And really, that place is almost never. Sometimes you can get down like that, but really, it should be a balance. And knowing the times we're coming in, there's never really a reason just to overdo it. And this other scripture was the one I'll probably close on it. Sirach 37. I'll start at 27. My son, prove thy soul in thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it. Don't get into things that'll be evil for your life. If you got one of them spirits where you don't have self-control, you probably shouldn't gamble. You probably shouldn't go to buffets and overeat. There's so many things that you got to know how to do in moderation, right? For all things are not profitable for all men. All things are lawful, but not all things expedient. And some things are not even they may be righteous for certain, are not expedient for you. Alcohol is big in that. Knowing your own personal measure. That's a maturity thing. When you're young coming in, just because brothers like wine and lamb, doesn't mean that you should only try to see who can eat the most wine and drink the most. Eat the most lamb and drink the most wine. That's not what it's about. That brother can eat lamb all day. Yeah, he can, but should he? He can drink wine he drink like a fish, but should he? Well, this brother do it, yeah, but that's a different man. That man's 200 pounds. You're 125 pounds soaking wet, bro. Know your measure. And it might be the reverse of body sizes, and it might be your spirit just don't need to drink that much. Some brothers just don't need to drink. Okay, and it's okay. Neither have every soul pleasure in everything, right? It says, be not insatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats. Okay, and a guy like D'Angelo and that other guy eating the raw rabbit and this is in place. The Heavenly Father is meant for you to do good, man. Everything that he set up was good for you. It's not grievous. It's meant to having that self-control is important. For excess of meats bringeth sickness, and surfeiting will turn into choler, words to look into, and surfeiting by surfeiting have many perished, but he that taketh heed prolongeth his life. There's certain things that if I would have been smarter, I wouldn't have done this level of sport this long to where I have physical injuries. I wouldn't have done this or that. There's certain things you go back like, damn, why did I do all of that? I shouldn't have done that. And now you've done it, and now your life is different, and you have to live a different lifestyle. Now we're trying to go back and learn and correct things that happened in the world that were like, damn, if I'd have been a more balanced person, I'd be good and healthy, and I'd have been in a different physical, mental place. But these are some of the thorns that are in our side that we have to walk with and deal with, right? Not an excuse to do it, but an excuse to get diligent and get disciplined and cut things off. So I'm going to end it there. Lord willing, this is edifying. I will give all praise and glory to the Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, B'Shem Chakodash. Until the next one, Shalom.